Welcome to Espiritu Coffee Chats, where we brew up inspiring conversations over a warm cup of coffee. I'm Valerie, the co-owner of Surge Coffee Co., where we highlight culture and community in all of our drinks.
And I'm Arlene, the owner of Lunasoul Wellness. As a holistic realtor, interior designer, and spiritual coach, I'm excited to bring a unique perspective to our chat.
Together, we'll explore the world of herbalism, spirituality, and the entrepreneurial journey.
We will also dive into our Latina backgrounds and how we navigate the everyday world.
So grab your favorite mug and settle in, and let's dive into today's chat. Welcome! Frida is excited to be back on the podcast.
Yes, she is our third silent partner in this. Frida is our little corgi. Well, she's my corgi, but I share her with Valerie.
Yes.
She's her auntie.
We love all the fur babies.
Yeah, she's her tia. Okay, so we have a fun podcast episode. It's we're going to be diving into the doshas of Ayurveda.
I'm so excited because I know you've told me about them a couple of times, and like I've learned about them at more of like a higher level. So I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, I think my love for the doshas is just like I look at them like they're three cousins, and they all have a symbiotic relationship with each other.
Oh, nice.
So I like to identify them as little characters. So we'll kind of get into that in a little bit. But a little background. So I did go get an Ayurvedic holistic wellness coach certification. The school that I went to, shout out, was called Shakti School. And it was focused around feminine form Ayurveda. So just really focusing and working with women's health. So we dove into reproductive health, also the embodiment. So really working with like just the essence of being a woman and what does that look like through an Ayurvedic lens. And then obviously like with that comes like health, and because, you know, Ayurveda really is about the foundation of health. And a lot of people don't know much about it. They don't even know that it's tied to yoga or the 7 chakras.
I would have never known that if you hadn't told me, to be honest.
Yeah. So yoga is basically like the lifestyle workout in a sense. Like they want you to practice it like every day. But even the poses have a certain rhyme and a reason. Oh. So even poses are like related to doshas.
Okay.
So it's really like, you know, I would say like yoga is more like the exercise of Ayurveda, but it's also too like it gets you to a spiritual point. Like Ayurveda is very much about spirituality, and so the other part that people don't know about Ayurveda is that it really focuses on the gut, and the gut is where everything starts.
Nice.
So everything is just centered around the gut. So everything always ties back to how's your gut. How's your shits? Like, seriously. Like, I've never talked about poop so much in my life. When I went to Ayurveda school, I start looking at mine. I'm like, oh, okay. That's a Vata poop. That's a Pitta poop. That's a Kapha poop. Like, and even your cycle has, like, a woman's cycle has Vata, Pitta, Kapha in it. Huh. So I would like to introduce you all to the doshas.
Nice.
So the doshas are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and they basically are the embodiment of the 5 elements of that we, you know, water, earth, air, fire, space. I think that's it. Oh, water, air, earth, fire, and space. Yeah. Very similar to astrology.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm just like always working with these elements all the time. Like no matter what way I look at it, I'm always working with them. So, that's why I have some of them tattooed on me.
Nice. Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, my finger tattoos. They're water and fire. Yeah.
Cute.
So yeah, that's what actually helps me understand astrology a lot better, and even human design, because I'm also looking at it like through the lens of elements and what we dove into when I was in Ayurveda school. So the first dosha that we'll be introduced to is going to be Vata.
Okay.
And Vata, when we're working, when you go to an Ayurvedic practitioner, that's actually the cousin or the sister, call them the 3 sisters. That's the sister that you're always really wanting to imbalance. Because she's the one that'll like fuck everybody up. She'll throw everybody out of balance. So, you know, usually most of society has a Vata imbalance. Huh. Most of the world, because we're in such a fast-paced world, if you're looking at what does fast look like in Ayurveda, it's either Pitta or Vata. But Vata is more like that, like, how can I say, like, just that, like, going.
The hustle culture.
Yeah, the hustle, exactly. It's also Pitta too. But Pitta is more like action, where Vata is more like the nervous system. It's like always doing something.
Yeah.
So So basically, Vata is made up of the elements of air and space.
Okay.
So, for example, a womb that has space in it. But Vata also governs, which is also I love. It governs creativity. So usually people who are highly Vata are very creative. They don't necessarily have like stable features in a sense. Like they don't have straight teeth. They kind of have a crooked teeth sometimes. They'll actually have curly hair or like wavy hair. And then they're usually a thin body frame. Like they almost have like broad shoulders, but like a very like thin body frame. And they don't gain weight very easily. So I guess I can say the sister would look like a Gwyneth Paltrow.
Ah, interesting.
Kind of long and lanky. Sergio, my husband, he's like a Vata dosha. He's long and lanky, and he has a hard time putting on weight.
Interesting.
Yeah. So Vata males are like have such a hard time because, you know, it's like muscle culture, right? Like, you know, you got to be a big bro and you got to be all like loped up. And so if a Vata man is just like, well, I mean, I can't do that. So they got to be like long and lean, you know, like they're more of like that cut up, that cut look, not the like bodybuilder look.
It's like the track stars versus the football stars.
Yes. Sergio's a track star, although he wants to be a football star. Poor guy. And so also what that looks like is somebody who has, they're usually just like super creative. So they're always like bouncing from one thing to another. Okay. They're very social. They like to, you know, socialize and, you know, really get out there with their friends and, you know, they're just into all the things. And that's that air just going, you know, like spinning around all over the place, like a little tornado.
I love that.
And most people do have, most people could be a mixture.
Okay.
So, so in Ayurveda, everybody has all three doshas in them. Everybody. So, but you're predominantly one.
Okay. How do we know what our predominant one is?
So you take a test. I could put that in that description in the link below. But like for example, I'm like a rare bird. So I am half Vata, half Pitta with like, I don't know where the Kapha is at. She's like somewhere in there. She's there though, but it's not very high. Okay. So I'm like a 50, you know, like I think it was like a 40, you know, combo. And then or I don't know, I have to look it up. But basically I don't have a lot of Kapha. Okay. And so going back to what the doshas are, so Vata is, you know, we all have her in us, but some of us tend to like, maybe we express her more by the way that we look. Sometimes you might express her more in the way that you think. So you can have a different body type, but then maybe your mind is more Vata. So it's a very creative person. And you can also, a lot of people are like, well, oh, I'm Vata because I'm skinny. No, girl. You could still be a Vata and gain weight. And what it looks like, you know, they would be skinny still, but like a fat skinny. Okay. Like, you know, there's no muscle tone. It's just kind of like flesh. It's just kind of hanging on the bone. They might have like a little pooch belly. So, you know, they can still gain weight, but they'll still somewhat have like this long, lanky look to them. So that's like, and we'll jump into it a little bit more with Vata, but moving on to the next dosha would be Pitta. And Pitta is made up of fire and air. Okay. I'm sorry, fire and water. And so what does that look like? It looks like steam when you put them together.
Makes sense.
And Pitta actually governs the stomach. It governs the whole digestive system. Okay. And it's almost like that's your furnace. So in Ayurveda, like if you have a strong Pitta, then that means you have a strong Ojas, which is in Ayurveda is like your life force. So when we're looking at Ayurveda in a health lens and when it comes to the gut system, there's certain doshas that are attached to the digestive system. So, for example, Pitta is like the small intestine and the liver. Vata is a large intestine. Okay. That's where you let wind out.
Oh my God.
That's funny. And Pitta is like, you know, the bile, right? It's like that fiery, the liver too, the bile. Okay. And then, and breaking down things. It's like your metabolism. That's Pitta. And then, Kapha is your stomach because it holds, things. So those three in the digestive system are really important because, sorry, Frida's barking.
We had a neighbor visit.
Yeah, he gave me a message. He's not the nice one either. He's the HOA rep.
Oh no.
Yeah, thanks. So basically, so Kapha, Pitta. So in the digestive system, that's what she governs, but she also governs summer months. Vata governs the fall.
Okay.
And like fall and I would say like maybe early winter, where Pitta governs late spring and into, the summer, and then kind of dies off into the fall. So Vata is very much fall, and then early months of like the winter.
Okay.
And so Pitta though, she's fire and water, so she's spicy.
We love spice.
She's a spicy person. She's a person that's like, what? What did you tell me? She's also very action oriented. So she's the boss. She's the boss lady.
Love that.
She's very like into that boss energy. She knows what she wants to do. She's very goal oriented.
Nice.
And feature wise, I like to call her maybe like the J-Lo or the Janet Jackson body type.
Okay.
Like still very athletic looking.
Yes.
Has a lot athletic type of body structure. Kind of overweight, has like an apple shape. They'd be more prone to like this apple shape where like there's just really no curves. It's just kind of like it's all there.
Yeah.
And they usually have very piercing eyes because Pitta governs the eyes. So they usually have like a very like sharp features, sharp nose, sharp eyes. I mean, I think I pretty much have a lot of Pitta features as well as Vata features. So if you look at me, then you can tell. And their hair is usually like, pretty straight for the most part.
Okay.
So they have just really sharp features. They have a sharpness to the way that they do things. And like I said, they're fire. So they're very much like active and productive. And, they have a hard time staying still sometimes because they're so like, I got to get things done.
Yes.
I would say Chris is a definite Pitta.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. That tracks.
Yeah. He's definitely Pitta. My man's the Vata over here. And so like in men, it does look like an athletic build.
Yeah.
Very athletic, can gain muscle easily, but can also put on weight easily too. So Pitta is like, that fire that we need in life, know. And then the next dosha that we'll talk about is Kapha. In Kapha dosha, she governs late winter and early spring, sometimes even early summer. So you're looking at months of like March all the way to like June. You know, so that's like springtime.
Yeah.
And she governs earth and water.
Okay.
So, that's why it's like in the springtime, it's dewy, it's rainy.
Oh.
It tends to be cloudy,
Yeah.
because and then when you put mud and water together, that's like landslides.
Yes.
So we see like the fireness of Pitta, the dryness of Vata. So Vata being like the season of fall, like we see space. So in order for space to happen, the leaves fall and things start to die. Vata governs death. So, we could see it in just how the elements play out in the seasons.
Right.
Right now we're actually still in Vata season. So a lot of the leaves are turning color and dying off and making space in the tree for new growth to come in the spring.
Interesting.
And then summertime, the sun's out. Now things are growing and blossoming.
Yes.
So there's like such a cycle with the 5 elements.
Yeah.
But that cycle's also within your body.
Yes. And I mean, thinking about like how you're explaining it now too, it's like the elements are cycles, and it also goes back to our food. Like the food grows in cycles, and what's available will grow in cycles.
Right. Yes. That's why Ayurveda does believe in eating seasonally. They're very hardcore on that, like eating seasonally, because one, the nutrients are the most bioavailable for you. Your body is actually going through its own season, of change as well. And we're so detached in our own cultures right now in our modern world that like we don't even notice when our body's going into hibernation mode in the winter or in spring where we're maybe like ready to like get out there and maybe start growing some things. So our body goes through that, and I'll kind of touch a little bit on that, but for the most part, going back to Kapha, she is the nurturer. she is the nurturing sister. She's like, you know, we have Vata, who's kind of the creative one. We have Pitta, who's the fiery boss. And then we have Kapha, who's more of like that nurturing, motherly, like, hey, sisters, do you need a hug? I can come hug you. So there's a very motherly tone about Vata. And she governs the stomach, so she likes to hold space. You know, she holds that space for people. She needs to fill the space.
Got it.
So, like if you think about the womb, when a person is pregnant, they're actually going through a lot of the 3 different elements. You know, that growing of the baby, the fetus, and then holding the space. You're in an amniotic sac. You're in water. That nurturing. That's very Kapha. And then the transformation, or I would say still be Pitta, but I would say Vata there is more so in like, just, you know, in that symbiotic of like having things kind of flow and you know, progress to the next trimesters. That would be very much Vata. So with Kapha though, what that looks like is, I mean, I don't like using this. I'm just trying to think. So Kim Kardashian, I'm just going to throw her out there. I can't think of another person unless you can, who has an hourglass type figure, like very voluptuous, you know, smaller weight, like a pear shape.
Yes.
So we're like, Vata's like a stick figure, Pitta's like an apple, and then you have the pear shape. So somebody just who's naturally curvy, like their shoulders and their hips are balanced, but they have a smaller waist. Like even no matter what size, if they're even overweight, they still have this like hourglass shape to them.
Oh, interesting.
So thin or overweight, you'll still have an hourglass shape to you. And so I'll also give you all a trick on how to know what your dosha is. It's super easy. But Kapha, so in, let's see, us features wise too, usually has round eyes.
Okay.
Nice round eyes, really milky, soft skin. It doesn't matter the complexion. It just means like really good, nice skin. And you want to associate Kapha with the moon. So there's this milkiness to her.
Huh. Okay.
Because she is like motherly. She's very much associated to the moon. So there's something about her that is very like milky, like the moon, and has this like, you know, really milky essence to her. She's earthy, so she's very like down to earth, very motherly, very nurturing. What can I do for you? It's that friend that's your like, I'm a mess, I'm gonna call her because she's gonna listen to me and hold space. Where I am probably the friend that'll tell you what to do. Oh, what's your problem? Here's what you should do. Where Kapha is more of like, okay, just tell me everything that you need, and I will just be there for you to hold space.
Yeah.
So that's like a Kapha kind of personality trait. An imbalanced Kapha, one is usually prone to being overweight because they can put on weight easily. They're earth, so earth can hold on to things a lot more. So they're prone to gaining weight pretty easily. And they also emotionally can have a hard time because they're kind of like the moon. They ebb and flow with like emotions and stuff. Yeah. So, and they're water. They have so much water in them. So there's that emotional component. So they can tend to, lean towards depression, where I would say Pitta would lean towards anger and frustration, where Vata would lean more towards worriness and anxiety. So you start to see like the imbalances that they all kind of can have within the mind. Versus like the imbalances on how it looks with the body.
Right.
An imbalanced Vata or Pitta and Kapha. So Vata imbalanced is, very thin. Usually when people get sick or they have a disease, like let's say cancer, they're battling cancer or some sort of, what's that called? Autoimmune issue. They, they're losing weight a lot. That's like a Vata imbalance. The Pitta imbalance is like, maybe Crohn's disease, diarrhea, also inflammation in the skin. So inflammation in the body is definitely Pitta, no matter what. And then Kapha is more of like diabetes, metabolic stuff like that. Or it could be, like I said, overweight, and emotion-wise, maybe very depressed, not wanting to get up and get out of bed. Because that's when, if you think about, when the imbalances happen, you have water and earth, and when you mix them, it creates sludge and mud. So that with them naturally, they'll be like, I don't want to wake up today. Yes. Because now they're in that mud phase. They're not in that like earth and water where they're growing something. They're in that murky, like dark mud where it's like hard. Yeah. And usually Kapha is prone to being a little stubborn. They're hard to change habits.
It's funny.
Because they're just like, no. Like, I'm stuck in my ways. No, get out of here. I still love you, but no.
Yeah.
So it's like just understanding like, okay, where does that fall? And we can all fall in those throughout our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
We're always ebbing and flowing through each of them. But when you know your predominant dosha, it's called your constitution in Ayurveda. The constitution is the moment you came out of your mom's womb. That's the dosha that you were meant to be, like in the long run. So that's the dosha that you're predispositioned to kind of like live your life through.
So based on essentially like when you were born, like what season of the Pitta or the doshas you were born?
No, it's more of like, you see a baby and it's born and you're like, oh, is it a Kapha baby, a Vata baby, or a Pitta baby? And you're looking at the features.
Oh,
you're looking at, maybe as the baby progresses, like, is it a fiery baby? Is it one that just wants to be cuddled and breastfed all day? Or is it one that's, a little petite and small and, and is just like wanting to do all the things and look at all the things, you know?
Okay.
So it starts from you when you were a child. So when Ayurvedic practitioners are looking at, well, where is this person's constitution? Like, what are they meant to be into this? Like, what dosha are they meant to really embody and play out into this lifetime? So they want to figure out that first. And then you want to figure out, well, what's the imbalanced dosha? Because you can identify yourself as the wrong dosha, right? Because it's like, you're away from the actual dosha that you really are.
Yes. So
it's kind of like, let's say, well, I'm like 50-50, so I'm not the best person. But okay, let's say you. So here's a little cheater on how to figure out what your dosha is. So you want to look at your wrist, because no matter what, your wrist does not gain weight. And you're looking at the bone structure. That's how one of the first things that we'll look at when it comes to Ayurveda. Like, what is this person's bone structure? What do they appear as? And so my bone structure, so if I wrap my finger around my wrist, I have a lot of space between my thumb and my middle finger. Though that's where you're wrapping your finger around. So I have some space. So that means my bone structure is more so Vata, because Vata has a very petite bone structure. Pitta, Valerie's wrapping her hand around, it basically matches up with the thumb and the middle finger. There's no space in between. So that's a Pitta body type. So she's all fiery over there.
Yep, that makes so much sense. I also have hella inflammation. I can see it in my hands.
Yeah. And then a Vata body type, if you wrap their hands around, it would have a little bit of space.
Okay.
So you're looking at a thicker bone structure, a thin bone structure, or just a, I don't know. For me, it's like athletic bone structure, medium bone structure.
Yeah.
And also Vatas have I have protruding bones on my, my bones protrude out.
Oh, yes.
So
mine don't as
I have
much.
it's a bony bones world over here. Even my husband, I'll accidentally run into him. I'm like, oh shit, your bones hurt. I'm like, damn, stab me. But that's not the only thing. It's one of the bigger things, but then you'll also take a look back and be like, okay, what do their facial features look like? Also kind of playing into account too, if we're adding the mind, well, what is their mind? What dosha is that? So I think that's why I tend to get the 50-50, because I think my upper half of my body is more Vata. My lower half is a little more Pitta, because I can gain weight pretty easily. So I wouldn't call myself a total Vata like my husband. And my body's not hourglass. I'm not a stick figure either. I'm more like a muscular tone. So I feel like that's where you see that 50-50 for me.
Okay.
And then I have curly hair naturally, so that's Vata. But my eyes are very sharp. My nose is sharp. My cheeks, my bone structure is very sharp, so that's Pitta. So that's where it's but I have bony nails.
Yes.
Bony fingers and all that stuff. There's nothing really stubby. You know? I'm like a petite little person. Also the eyes, so colored eyes, dark eyes are usually Vata. Pitta are usually that green, hazel color. Kapha are blue eyes or green eyes, mostly blue. People tend to have blue. So you're just looking at all the things. And then, as a practitioner, you sit down and you okay, then you also look at the child. Well, what do they look like as a child? Okay. Because that is before you were conditioned through society. Before all these imbalances could have happened or whatever.
Your truest self, I guess.
Yes. So that's kind of where you're looking at. And then from there, then you're taking another assessment to be like, okay, now we're asking lifestyle questions. What is your life currently like? What are the imbalances that you're feeling in your body? And sometimes people could have all 3 doshas imbalanced. Oh. So when that's the case, you're working with treating Vata first for the most part.
Why?
Because Vata is the one that tends to push the other ones out of balance. Because she's harder to like.
Yes, you said it earlier. The one that starts things.
She's the one that starts things. She's a little bit of the pot stirrer in a sense, because she's so erratic.
Okay.
That and it governs the nervous system too. And since we are in a Vata, not how can I say, like our environment, the way our lifestyle currently is set up is going against it's too much Vata. It's like that go, not resting. You're here, you're there, you're all over the place.
Yes.
So I would assign manifesting generators to a Vata for looking at human design.
That's me.
Or Libra zodiac signs. That's very Vata. So so that's where like the doshas kind of come into play. And then just understanding like we are made up of all the elements. We are definitely elemental beings.
Yeah, of course.
So it really does help when you're looking at it from, a life perspective on like, even whether it's, we're both entrepreneurs, like business wise, setting up your business to kind of even understand your doshas, like I know I'm pretty fiery, but I'm also super creative.
Yeah.
And sometimes I need to lean into my Kapha because she's like, she's not there.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, what do you want to do? You want to relax? And then the other Vata and Pitta are like, no, girl, like you got shit to do.
You have so much to do
stuff
list.
to do. Yeah, you got a lot of stuff to do. So get up and go do your things. But then I get Kapha imbalances and things like that too. So it's really nice to kind of understand which one you kind of tend to lean into, but then kind of like how I always talk about astrology, like leaning into understanding the shadow aspects of your zodiac signs or whatever, but then also what are the shadow aspects of the doshas?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then that way you are like, oh shit, I'm on the wrong path. Let me get back into my healthy Pitta, my healthy Vata.
Yeah.
So I'll leave you all with the last little story. Do you have any questions, Valerie?
No, I mean, we went through so much. I feel like, the things that you're saying in terms of like the imbalances, I feel like definitely I have all 3 imbalanced right now. I'm like, maybe I need to go see like an Ayurveda doctor or something.
Well, you're on the Khichdi cleanse right now.
Oh, yes.
And that is actually a tridoshic cleanse.
Oh.
So it'll help support all 3 doshas no matter what.
Love that.
So it's a cleanse that's built to support the 3 crazy sisters when they get together.
Nice. Wow. Perfect timing, because I feel like I just went through burnout. Yeah. Hopefully this will be a nice reset.
Right. Yeah. And so kind of how that works, like I'll use you as an example. So your main dosha, I feel like, is Pitta.
Yes.
And then, but Vata, maybe you're feeling some Vata imbalances, and then also some Pitta imbalances with the inflammation. So in order to address the inflammation, you have to address Vata, which that means so the doshas, when Vata needs to be imbalanced, she needs to bring in Kapha. So bringing in more slowness into your life, allowing that like kind of slow, that nurturing aspect to come in. So and then when you're looking at Pitta, you're actually also going into Kapha. You're bringing Kapha in. Now, when Kapha is imbalanced, she needs to bring in, some Pitta and, probably some Vata, but probably some Pitta. And so they're all like, now you got to go and look at, let me bring in this one because Kapha will balance in that Vata. Yeah. In that nurturing aspect. And then it'll also, then once you get that balanced, then it's like, okay, now we can start focusing on Pitta, the inflammation. What is that? What's causing that? Then you start looking at cooling foods and things like that. So cooling foods would be like Kapha foods. Okay. So very, like, think springtime foods. Okay. Because that's Kapha season. Yeah. So it's like just understanding like, okay, what are the elements? And like foods are broken down into elements, like all these things. If you have a lot of Pitta in you, you don't want to be eating chili and like tapatio and hot Cheetos.
I cannot eat any of that right now.
Yeah. Or if you're Vata and you have Vata imbalance, like you don't want to have, Vata likes to have chips. Oh, God. Chips. My husband chips and salsa. He's like, I would say like that's a white girl's dream.
Oh my
chips
gosh.
and salsa, because most Caucasians are kind of associated with being Vata.
Oh, interesting.
Where Pitta is more with indigenous people.
I could see that. Okay.
So Kapha, that's why I say that. Disclaimer.
We're not just randomly throwing these things out there.
Just disclaimer. So like Vata would want to bring in stews and soups and hydration and, you know, all those things, more grounding root vegetables and, you know, things that'll ground you and really nourish you. Because Vata tends to get dry in the body. You know, think about the fall. It's wind. It's windier in the fall. Okay. So, you know, you get dry skin.
Yes.
You need more lotion, you know, all that stuff. So does the body. So you want to be bringing in like ghee to lubricate the joints and, you know, nice healthy fats and oils, and then foods that are really grounding and nourishing, because that like helps bring Vata back down to earth.
Oh, okay.
So it's fun. I'm sure we'll dive into it a little more. Valerie and I are going to do a cleanse at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
And we can share some more insights. The last story I wanted to leave with was this is kind of how it looks like when they go to a yoga studio.
Ooh.
So, because, you know, the three sisters are doing yoga because it's part of their lifestyle, because they're trying to lead an Ayurvedic lifestyle. So they're, you know, heading into the yoga studio, and it's like, you know, I would say the first person who shows up is going to be Pitta.
Okay.
She's like there like before it even starts. It's like, you know, 9 o'clock class, and she's there at like 8:55. And she has like all her shit. She has coffee in her hand. She has her yoga mat. She's like, ooh, this is a hot yoga class. Hell yeah. And then she's like, perfect, my jam. So she gets in, she lays down her yoga mat. She's in front of the teacher. She can't be at the back. She's in the front because she wants to make sure she's doing the poses right. Nice. And she's like, all right, cool. I have enough time to go to the bathroom. Like, I've planned for all of this. So like, I know what I'm doing when I get here. And then, you know, Vata runs in, and she runs in, and she's just like, you know, strolling in. But first, on her way in, she's like, sees somebody else walking in. That's her friend, you know, from the yoga studio. So they start chit-chatting, and they're just chopping it up. And then they're like, you know, walking. And then she comes in with her her juice, like her like, I don't know.
Her celery juice.
Yeah. Exactly. Her celery juice that she just learned about on the medical medium. And she has like this bright colored outfit on, and she's all like in her boho wear. And so trendy though, like super cute. And so she comes in, and she has like a little crop top on, and, you know, little tight pants or whatever. And so, so they walk in, she sits her mat down with her friend, you know, and they're like just chilling, chit chatting, talking. And then as she's sitting down, she realizes like, oh, I forgot my freaking yoga mat. I gotta go back to the car. Oh, this is a hot yoga. Oh my God. I forgot my hot yoga towel at home. So now I gotta go back to my car. So she leaves her friend, and she goes back to the car, and she's getting all her stuff. As she walks out, then the person that she passes is Kapha, and Kapha's all slow walking in. Mind you, it's already like, you know, maybe 8:58, and they're like, you know, basically Vata's going to be late on her way back. And then Kapha's like just strolling in. She'll be late because she just strolls in real slow, like just chilling. She's like looking at the butterflies and the flowers, and she's just like, oh, such a beautiful day. And she's like in her comfy little sweater, and she has like her little like yoga socks on, and she, you know, she has everything with her, but she's like super cozy looking. And then she strolls in, and she's, you know, she's friendly to everybody. She says hi, and, you know, she's just like chilling. She goes, puts her yoga mat down, and she has her bolster with her, nice. Like all the things, right? But super comfy, easy breezy. So the class starts, you know, Pitta's in the front. She's like in her, like, I'm ready. You know, Kapha's like, I'm just going to lay down and like, you know, start it out on the floor. Yeah, Shavasana. And I'll catch up to everybody when I feel like it. They start the class. Now it's like 9:05. Somebody's knocking at the door outside. They're like, oh my gosh, because they usually lock the doors at the yoga studio. So then the teacher has to go out of the class, interrupt it, and then let Vata in. Because remember, Vata forgot all her shit in the car. So she has to come in. So now she's all erratic, like, oh my God. She's all flustered because everybody's looking at her. She's like, oh, damn. And then she sits down. She's like, all right, cool. Like, okay, I'm going to get in this. But she's like still kind of anxious. She's now worrying because everybody looked at her. They're like, ugh, you know. But then she gets over it. And then, you know, 5 seconds later, she's back to talking to her friend again. And she's next to the Kapha friend too. And they're like, don't worry, girl, you're fine. And Pitta's like, well, I don't know. You kind of did interrupt my class. Like, now we got to stay 5 minutes longer. And I was meant to get out at 10. And I got to stay at 10:05. So... But that's kind of how the doshas are in real life.
Nice. I love that. What a great story. I love that. Such a good way of explaining
I think it came when I was teaching yoga for all the years that I did it. And just seeing like, yep, all the doshas come to class.
I know, huh?
All the doshas come to class.
You can see them and you're like, I know which dosha you are.
Yep. I'm like, okay, there's the Pitta one. You know, give her grace. Vata, she needs a hug.
Yes.
But yeah, so we thought we would bring you this episode of just talking about the doshas and hopefully diving deeper into some of this ancient wisdom of Ayurveda.
Yeah, that was so good and so helpful. Is there like a ritual or something that we can do to like check in our doshas, or like a check-in to help us know when things are imbalanced? Like what can we do?
I would say right now, probably everybody has a Vata imbalance. So, especially because it's wintertime and usually that, or like late winter pretty much at this point. It's like, you know, it's a lot. It's holiday seasons and it's a lot of go. So just give yourself time and space to relax and lean into the Kapha, you know? So like what that looks like is, you maybe light a candle, make a cup of tea. Vatas like to like journal. So even in this Vata season, it'd be nice to just like journal. It's kind of like when you think about it too, like it's kind of perfect for, what is that called? Vision boarding.
Oh yes.
Around this time. Cause it's very Vata. Like you're dreaming, you're playing with your imagination, you're being creative, you're doing art. Like, so really embodying like the good qualities of Vata, but then also bringing in the nice, like soothing, warming parts of Kapha, which is like, just, you know, laying down, maybe listening to a nice sound bath on Spotify or going to a sound bath. So giving yourself that time to just relax the mind.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love it. So much information and such a good takeaway. Cool.
Thank you. Well,
anything else?
That's about it for this episode. I don't know if I have any resources, but if I could think of any, you know what? I'll put the link in our episode notes about where to go and look at your constitution. Also, just take a look, listen to this episode and cue right now, go get up and go look at your childhood picture. I would say from the age of maybe like 5 to 8, that's probably where you're going to see most of your like, okay, how was I as a little girl? And this could be for another episode, but I love working with inner child work when we're doing, when you're looking at that, like, oh, look at that little Pitta girl, or oh, look at the little Kapha girl, like, because that's like such a true essence of like who you are. Nice. So, taking a moment maybe to even pause and like reflect on this podcast and like, what is that when you were little? Like, were you more Vata, super creative, Pitta, very like, oh, I'm gonna go play sports, or Kapha, just like I'm gonna go and nurture my whole family, make cookies, like that's still you. That's actually your true essence. So. Definitely taking a look at your childhood pictures and then look at that link. And then, we're always here for questions and, comment if you feel like this really resonated, or if you wanted to learn more, definitely send us a message or reach out to us on our social media platforms.
Yes. Yeah. Arlene is super knowledgeable in Ayurveda and all of the things. So take advantage.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And we'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Espiritu Coffee Chats.
We hope you enjoyed our conversation and found a little inspiration to take with you.
If you loved what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.
And stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more.
Until next time, keep the spirit alive and the coffee brewing. Cheers!